Dr. Soltis, and I wanted to give a quick demo of 2 ways to make histograms in Excel. Here I have investment rate of returns for every year over the past 30 years from both the S&P 500 and U.S. Treasury bonds, and I'll put the data source in the link below. The first way to make it a histogram is just use the built-in insert. You can do a chart. You can pick this histogram option. So this is a pretty basic way to make histograms, and what we'll see is that this lacks some control later on. So starting out, it just picks arbitrary values for our bins, and we might want to adjust this. So I'm going to right-click this and do Format Data Series, and then I can set my bin width to be something more reasonable. Instead of 17%, let's have bins every 10%. I also might want to have my bins start at a nice logical round number, so I can set my underflow bin to -0.3, and that helps this graph look a lot nicer. So this is my graph for the S&P 100. If I try the same thing for T-bonds, what we're going to see is that the lack of control in this chart starts to hurt me a little bit. So here's my T-bond chart, and I really want these axes to match. But what we'll see is because my T-bonds don't have these super negative returns ever, it's a less risky investment, then even if I set the underflow bin to -0.3 and set my bin width to 0.1, just like I did for the other graph, oops, you can see that because I don't have those values, it's still starting at 17.8. Those don't match up. So I want to show you another way to make a histogram that will allow me to compare these two. The first thing I need to do is manually define my bins. So I'll write bins, and I want to start at -0.3, and then my increment was 0.1. So I'll have -0.2, -0.1, and so on. I can actually just drag these down up to 40. Next, I want to have my bin labels, and so I want to have some text. I like the way that Excel labels these bins and shows very clearly what these bins are counting. And so my bin labels, I can use some string annotations. So I can do bin labels, and I can say this one is going to be equal to, and I need to get that character, so less than or equal to, and then I can use the ampersand sign to join this with this text here. And so that's less than or equal to 0.3. If I wanted to be 30%, I could multiply by 10 and add that percent sign to it. So less than, multiply by 100 and add that percent sign to it. This next one, it's going to be a little bit longer. It's equal to, I have ampersand, it starts here, another ampersand, comma, another ampersand, and it ends here, and then another ampersand, and my close brace. So that's my nice little bin label here, and again, I could do times 100, and then add my percent sign if I wanted to, times 100, and add my percent sign if I wanted to. So these are nice bin labels here. Now I need to count the number of things that would fall into these areas. So I could make an empirical CDF. I could say count if my range is this range, and my criteria is going to be less than or equal to that value, -0.3. And so I need to use dollar signs to make sure my range changing as I drop this down, but then I can drop this formula down. So this is the count of less than that. Now I want to do my counts, or the frequency of those counts. And so I can do the frequency. It's just going to be equal to the difference between these two. So I drop this down. This is my counts, my frequencies that fall in each bin. And I can make a little chart. So I can do insert. Now this is going to be a column chart. And we want to actually just do this. Insert, make a column chart, and then I can input my axes labels. I can select this one for my axes labels, and that should be good. And now the other thing I can do is I can click on this, and I can adjust these options. Let's say this is 5%, and I can line these up. So now my bins match exactly between those two, and I could do some stylistic changes to make sure that these match. But that method gives you a little bit more control over your histogram to do it in that manual way. So this is T-bonds, UST bond. I did want to show you one last shortcut. So now that we have these two charts that kind of match each other, if you are too lazy to type in all those formulas, you can also use, under the Data tab, there's this Data Analysis Toolpack. If that doesn't show up, you can search for it. You can search add-ins, and you make sure this is checked, the Analysis Toolpack, and then it should show up. And I can do data analysis. This has a ton of things that we'll use in statistics, but for the histogram, I can create a histogram. I can select my data range, and I can select my defined bins. And then it just asks me where it wants this output. I'll put the output right here. I'll put it one over. And I can also click this box if I wanted to go ahead and make that chart. And I click that, and it will automatically calculate the frequency of all those bins and insert the chart for you. You can see that these numbers all match, but I kind of like the manual control a little bit better. If I wanted to go in here and change the axes labels to the ones I defined, I could go ahead and select where my axes labels are, and I don't need that last column that says more, and so I can get that same histogram that way. Hope that's helpful as you make your histograms in this class.